Greetings, Eagle Artists. Today we are going to be working on coffee painting techniques, and this is my finished example. We are going to learn about values of coffee. We're going to learn about how to apply different textures, and we're going to learn how to use coffee in layers. First, I'm going to tell you about your supplies. So everybody will need a brush. You will pick up a brush from me at the beginning of class. You are at each table, you are going to have a toothbrush, a green cup with a toothbrush and a little dropper. And you will also have a bag with paper towels and plastic wrap. You're going to need 2 paper towels and 1 piece of plastic wrap. You are also going to have a little container of salt, and then you will have a palette to share between you and a partner, the partner across from you. We're going to do our best to keep these organized and clean, which I know that you guys will be able to do. So the first thing I'm going to do when I get my fresh coffee painting texture sheet is I'm going to add my name. Please write legibly. I'm going to write Miss Tennessee. Write your name, not my name. And you're going to put your class color. I'm going to put multi because I'm the teacher. Here we go with our first step. So we are going to start backwards. We are going to start with the layers section first, because if you've read this already, it's important to let each layer dry in between. So we are going to do our first layer, a light layer of coffee here first, and then work our way backwards. So I want you to load your brush up with water, and you should also have a paper towel. You're going to get a little bit of coffee from the center, and I want you to add a little water. You can also use your little dropper to grab some water here and stick it in one of the smaller wells. And you're gonna add a little coffee to that here and mix it up. Mix up just a light value. It should be a very, very light value, probably one of the lightest values. And you're going to fill that entire space with coffee. Make sure you're painting in one direction. That's important, one direction, because we want to think about craftsmanship. So to make things go a little faster, I have pre-mixed our dark, medium, and light values. You still have your palette here that you can work with your partner, but we've also set up these little containers that have pre-mixed values. So we're going to let this layer part dry on the right, and we're going to start on the left and work our way back. So go ahead and take your dark container labeled with D, and you're going to load your brush up with that darker value. Now this means there's more coffee than water. So I'm going to load my brush up, and I'm going to pick a direction. Remember to go vertical or horizontal for craftsmanship, and I'm going to fill the darkest box. So next, I'm going to take my medium container labeled with an M, and I am going to load my brush, and I'm going to do the same thing with my medium value. Picking one direction. And if you're finding that it's too light, all you have to do is go to your palette and possibly add a little bit more coffee in there and make it a little darker. You can tweak it however you need to. And finally, you're going to do your lightest value. So you can pull from your cup that is labeled with an L, meaning lightest, or you can go back to your palette, your original palette, where we did this first layer, and you can lightly fill in that lightest value there. All right, so we're finished with our values. We've done darkest, we've done medium, and we've done lightest. So we're gonna move over to our texture. For our texture section, we're gonna start off with salt. So you're gonna pick up your little container from salt out of your bucket, and you're gonna open up your container and have that prepared. Now, for the next texture section, I would probably pull from either your medium cup labeled M, or you can have your medium value already prepared here in your palette. You guys can pull from that or pull from here. You're gonna load your brush up. You have to do this next one very quickly. So you're gonna load your brush up. Load your brush up very fast and use a lot of water. Try to stay inside of the rectangle. So I'm gonna dip and then drop on there, making sure it's really wet. So put your brush back into the cup of water. I'm gonna grab a pinch of salt, just a pinch, and I'm gonna drop it on there. Ooh, look at that. It's like science. So you're gonna notice how the coffee kind of runs away from the salt. So next we're going to pick out the bag from our bucket, and you are going to grab 2 paper towels and 1 piece of plastic wrap. So for the plastic wrap section, we are going to grab our brush. Remember, we're pulling from our medium values. We're gonna load our brush up with coffee and fill in the rectangle. So I've got my rectangle filled in, and notice that there's a puddle of water, so it needs to be wet. I'm gonna take my plastic wrap and squeeze it together, and I'm going to just set it on top of my section right there and press it down with my finger like so. So I'm gonna let my plastic wrap dry. We're gonna let it dry overnight. And next I'm gonna pick up paper towel. I'm gonna have 1 little piece of paper towel. I've got 2 of them. So we're gonna do dipping and dabbing. So this one, you are going to dip directly into your coffee. So you can take your medium cup labeled M, or you can dip into your palette, and you're just gonna dip directly into the coffee and use your paper towel as a painting medium. So we're just going to dip and we're gonna tap it into our rectangle and see what kind of textures it creates. The next one we're going to do is dabbing with the paper towel. So I'm going to load my brush up with medium value. I'm going to fill that, oops, that's okay. I'm gonna fill that rectangle in, trying to paint in the same direction. And then I'm going to take my paper towel, my second sheet, and I'm gonna twist it up and then dab into and soak up some of that coffee. Creates little clouds. So the next texture can be done one of 2 ways. You can do drips and drops. You can use your little dropper, or you can use your paintbrush. So I'm just gonna take a small little bit of my medium value and I'm just gonna drop it there. Then I'm gonna try this with my brush. I'm gonna load it up with a lot of paint and just try to lightly tap it on there and drop it on there. Tap, 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 tap with my finger. Tap, tap, tap. And it's okay if it gets outside of the rectangle here. So lastly, I'm going to add my coffee grounds, and I'm going to use my coffee grounds as a means of texture. So I'm just going to add a little light value here, and then I'm going to take a little bit of coffee grounds and sprinkle them on top of there, just like we did the salt. It's very similar to the salt. And I'm gonna let that sit there and dry overnight. So the last section we're gonna work on is the layers. So I've let this first layer dry, and I've actually got some really cool kind of flower looking images coming through. So we're gonna work on, this was a light value. So next I'm gonna do a medium value on top. I'm gonna load my brush up with a medium value, and I'm just gonna go in and start drawing on top. And you don't have to draw pictures. You don't have to draw anything recognizable. You can just practice doing little lines, shapes. It can be abstract. I just like to do little patterns and different types of spiral lines. And I'm loading my brush up. So we're gonna do several layers. This is gonna be layer 2. We're gonna let that dry and then go in and put layer 3 on top. All right, guys, for our last and final technique, we're going to go in and just add that last layer. So I want you to try at least 3 layers on your layer section. And I'm gonna go in, I did a light, a medium, and then I'm gonna go in with the darker value on top and just make some more little highlights. And add some details. And have fun with it. Play with all the layers, have fun. And what's gonna be really cool is once it dries, you'll see all of the lines popping through tomorrow. So tomorrow, what you're gonna do is when you get finished, when it's dried, you're gonna pull it off of the drying rack and you're gonna rub the salt off, which is very satisfying. It's so fun. And then you're gonna pull your plastic wrap off. And then you can also rub your coffee grounds off as well. And then you'll be able to see, you'll look at your layer section and you'll be able to see your 3 layers. And some of you, if you want to add a 4th layer, you're welcome to do that. All right, thank you for your time. Looking forward to seeing how you guys progress on this. Bye.